Is Buddhism a religion or a philosophy? This is a big question that's debated back and forth, and people have all of their different opinions about what the answer is. Partly it's because the use of the word religion is out of date or not really our favorite word in the culture in this time. We say spiritual, even though it might be covering a lot of the same topics that the idea of religion does, which is the idea of kind of internal insight about the nature of reality, about life and death, and ethics, and how we should conduct ourselves, the purpose of life. So those are questions that have been answered by religion for a long time. And I think also, too, the challenge with Buddhism is that it has all of these aspects to it that we might necessarily overlook as a really big part of the tradition, which is that it's very rational in some ways. There's this really intense logic of Buddhism. It's a very intellectual and philosophical tradition in many ways, and Buddhist education is about this super specific and vigorous understanding of mind and emotions and how we know what we know and what is the goal of life and purpose of life and how do we attain awakening and so on. But on the other hand, it's not all reason and rationality. Buddhism also has ritual, and it has poetry and mystical practices and teachings, and practices that are about kind of inward experiences and these kinds of special states of mind that can be attained through contemplative practices, inner yogas, and breathing practice and mantra. And so that, kind of falls out of the scope of what we think of as logical, even though there's a pretty meticulous science to it from the perspective of the tradition, but it's really a kind of a spiritual part of what Buddha's teachings are. And then, of course, it's a historical tradition and cultural tradition, and it's taken many different forms and in different places and different times. But I think the key is that every person experiences Buddhism in different ways, and there isn't like one right way to be a Buddhist. Some people might spend their entire lives studying Buddhist teachings and Buddhist texts, but then not self-identify as a Buddhist. And other people may not have any understanding of Buddhist philosophy, but just do one mantra practice and have faith and devotion. And maybe they've encountered Buddhism through their culture, and it's a much more essential kind of concentrated version of Buddhism, and they call themselves Buddhists. And of course, there's everyone in between, from experts to just people who encounter it here or there. Some people encounter Buddhism from the perspective of being a part of another religion, and I think Buddhism's all those things. Some people it's their religion and their spirituality, and some it's just a philosophical tradition, and for each person it offers what it offers, and people understand it in their own ways. And I think for me, I understand Buddhism as all those things as well. It's where all of those things meet in one kind of context that's called Buddhism, which philosophy and meditative practice and ritual and this kind of what only religion can do, which is this attempt to address and make sense of the big questions in life of death and reincarnation and our purpose and so on. And so I think Buddhism is all those things, and it offers all those things, and each person takes, whether we like it or not, we can't legislate it. That is what happens, that people take from it as they can, and whether they're involved in a lineage or tradition or not, there's just so many ways that Buddhism is this enormous wealth of wisdom and practices that address the concerns that we think of the most. What it means to be happy, what it means to relieve suffering and find genuine satisfaction. That's what Buddhism is.